Welcome everyone to Loud and Proud Orlando. Welcome back, John, after a long wedding celebration. Appreciate to have you, my friend. Thank you to everybody that's live as well. About 14 people live right now. I think that we got so far. There's gonna be a lot of more people joining, I'm sure. But we are in. We're gonna be talking today about a couple of topics. I'm sure you guys already saw the description of the video. If you're listening, stay tuned because we're going to be discussing today. We are the champions, man. GA Cup win, Generation Adidas Cup under 18, OCB update as well. The US Open Cup, we're going to be facing the Tampa Bay Rowdies, as well as we're going to be reviewing what happened against Montreal. We literally were trying at the end of the game hold off the lowest scoring offense in the MLS. So we'll discuss all of that and more. We're also going to be previewing a derby game. I don't know if it's still considered a derby game. We'll ask that John in a little bit. Atlanta at home. We're going to do the lineup, score predictions. Stay tuned. Drop us your comment. We're going to read you all. Thank you so much for being with us. This is Loud and Proud Orlando. John, how are you, my friend?
Good, man. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Cool. Yeah, sorry. I didn't know if I was having technical difficulties, so I wanted to check. Good. I'm back. Thank you for good to see you guys. It's been a while since been on the pod, so excited to be back and chat everything Orlando City and what's happening in the world here, man, because so many things going on.
Yeah, for sure. Let's start with definitely some great news about the GA Cup, right? Generation Adidas Cup. I do want to say it is something that we as an organization, as a team, and as fans of soccer in the United States, and fans of soccer in the state of Florida, we should feel very proud on the direction the team is going and the brand Orlando City is going, and obviously also Orlando Pride, which we'll discuss at 8 o'clock today. But the under 18 team of Orlando City clinched their first ever Generation Adidas Cup. It's also called the GA Cup on April the 20th. They defeated the Colorado Rapids 2-1 in extra time. A former Lion was, I believe, the keeper of Colorado, Zach. Um, I forgot.
Campagnolo.
Zachary Campagnolo. Yeah, sorry. Thank you, man. Yeah, so I mean, it was a little bit of like, he played like with those kids in the past with Ellis and Gusky and Caravallo, and now being on the other side. But Orlando won the cup at IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida. Definitely, Gustavo Caravallo scored a beauty of a goal, and it shows, and I will say, and I will give it to John. It shows the direction this team is going. Yes, we might not have Latte Lath or Mocha Latte Lath. I don't know how his name is called. We may not have, Lionel Messi, but, those players come and go. What stays is the badge. What stays is the brand. And this team is doing, giant steps forward thinking all other teams in the MLS. I think this triumph just showcase our academy's strength, and obviously driven by a disciplined tactical setup that comes with having people like Luis Musi at the helm, in the admin and to pick players and scout players with Moreira, and also having Oscar Pareja, and it shows a clear developmental pathway that's going to definitely reap a lot of fruits in the future. So this team now under 18 is probably going to meet up on the next MLS next and future tournaments, and they're definitely, Orlando City is poised to produce, to me at least, one of the most exciting professional talent products in the nation. And I think that's something for us to be super proud about. And these are kids that are identified. They live and breathe Orlando City. So just like you will go to England and people will live and breathe, Southampton or Liverpool or Leicester City. Unfortunately, they went to relegation, but like Orlando is on the pathway of having people that identify greatly with not only the city of Orlando but also the brand. So phenomenal news, John. How are you, my friend? And what do you thought? What are your thoughts on this GA Cup win?
Oh man, I mean it's huge every year. I'm always I keep an eye on the GA Cup. It's something that obviously being here in Bradenton. The thing that I find most interesting about it is it's not just MLS teams. So you've got all of these academies from around the world, and it allows people to see where they match up against, like, the best in Europe and the best in South America. And Orlando City has progressively been getting better over the years of the GA Cup. And this year was really our year, man. I mean, they performed really well. Obviously, the U18s. If you don't mind, Luis, you put up the video. I want to show the reaction video of when they won the final against Colorado. This was the the final whistle go. Purple storms the. I love it, man. I think that the celebrations just kind of set it all there. Throughout this game, you can hear the crowd chanting like "Vamos Orlando," esta noche. You can hear the crowd. I really felt like, this was a game that meant a lot to the boys, and they can, use this as a springboard going forward. The goals themselves, I mean, Caraballo got a great volley in the first half. Then Colorado, who are definitely the stronger defensive team, like you said, against our very strong attack from the U18s of Orlando City. But eventually we got that second goal. Caraballo scored an absolute screamer. I'll show you here. I did a kind of photo montage of his goal. Here he is, taking it here. It's flying past the keeper, a bit blurry, but you can see. And there he goes, top bins. That was the winner. An absolute screamer from Caraballo. So, a great result for the boys. It's the kind of thing that you look back and they're going to remember forever, lifting this. And it's the first time that we've ever won it as an academy. But not only the U18s, Luis, the U16s went on a great run too. I believe losing to Salt Lake, who went on to win it in the end. So, no shame in that. But the future is bright. And the future is purple, Luis. We talk about it all the time, but, now more than ever, that's the case. So I just want to point out these boys and give them all a shout out, here, because this is where it starts, right? We've talked about Justin Ellis. We've talked about Colin Gusky and yeah, we've mentioned Platts before because he's been in the OCB team. A few of these other guys have had OCB appearances. Of course, Caraballo, we know everything about, but these are the names of the team that went out and proved to be, I don't know if you could say this is the best U18 team in the world. That's hard to say, but like the GA Cup is, the only measure. It's really the only measure we have right now at this level. And to do it against not only the other MLS academies that we know are very good, but to do it against the likes of the Bayern Munich Academy and other teams that are in this tournament, I think it really shows, how impressive we are at that level. And we've seen for the likes of Alex Freeman coming in that it's only going to get better, and that pipeline is there. So maybe what we talked about when Oscar came in of we're going to have that, youth system like he built in Dallas. It might finally be all showing in fruition, like in terms of all of the layers are there and you're getting these young talents coming in, at a very young age and getting good enough to win a tournament like this. Now this generation of players, they're going to be breaking into the first team in the next few years. What are the likes of Caraballo going to be like when he's in the first team? Justin Ellis, Colin Gusky, to do this at this level really bodes well for the future. And you hope that our academy is going to start producing guys at the level of Alex Freeman's ability regularly. And that's, to me, that's what this shows. And that's what excites everybody. It's really all the hard work they've been doing for years on the academy starting to pay off, not only at the Orlando City level, the OCB level, but obviously at the actual academy level itself as well. So an amazing achievement and just so good to see.
I know that everybody wants to win now, and that goes to any team in the world, and that goes to any brand, and that goes to any fan. Clearly, yeah, you want to win now, but I mean, what Orlando is doing, it's something that a lot of teams in other leagues and other parts of the world are not doing, and this is definitely building like cinder blocks. Like they're creating a skyscraper. It's like building a skyscraper. Now, why is Orlando City excelling with their academy? And this is not just a coincidence. This is a reason. There's a reason. Investment in infrastructure and not being afraid of making connections with other academies. Since 2015, Orlando has built a really huge youth system. Obviously, you have, like we mentioned already, EVP Luis Musi, Ricardo Moreira as a technical director as well. Being in charge of bringing talents like Caraballo, into the system. You have Oscar Pareja, which already John mentioned, is a renowned developer of young talent. And it kind of shows a this is the way Orlando City will play on all levels. And so this plug and play situation we're watching now, with even having somebody like a newcomer like Gerbe excelling on MLS games, or a product like Alex Freeman coming in, and Thomas Williams as well coming in on last game against Montreal and doing really good. It has a reason, and this is the reason why. It's a blueprint. So we have players like Colin Gusky training with the first team. We have Caraballo training with the first team on a constant basis. Thomas Williams. So the clear path and the progression is there. Another thing is the investment in infrastructure that Orlando has done. I mean, this is a team that has prioritized investment in infrastructure over other MLS teams. Meanwhile, other MLS teams may be looking to win a fast one on you, and they have not probably been developing on the level of infrastructure Orlando has. Doing partnerships with local YMCA's, the Lions Pride Junior, academies all over. Partnering with Elite Club National League. Programs like that. It just kind of brings more young talent into the pipeline to develop them to be the next Caraballo, the next Gusky, and so on. So it is amazing to see. And then I do want to end this before passing it back to John. Javier Carrillo, as a Peruvian, I do want to say I feel, I mean, so inspired by the story of Javier Carrillo, the academy director. Uh, he's originally from Lima, Peru. He graduated from FIU. He has a double major in business and trade and marketing. He holds a USSFA license. I mean, he has so many notable achievements that probably a lot of people have not talked about. But the U17 team that played the MLS Next Cup Championship in 2021, that was a huge milestone for him in his career, and also in the club's academy. Then reached the semifinals of the same MLS Next Cup the year later. So, and now you have the GA Cup, right? So it's a huge part of developing the players that we're now growing to see on the first team, like the Freemans and the Guskies. Now, and you could ask them too, hey, the Fabian Loyolas. Now he started at Weston FC, and that's where we also poach some of the talent. So he has eye to spot talent too. That's where Thomas Williams, Freeman, Fabian Loyola kind of started their soccer career. So this is huge, and I hope more people will talk about it, and definitely definitely.
And Justin Ellis, Platts, other guys were not playing OCB this week, last couple of weeks, because they obviously went to go be part of the U18 team. And just show that these U18 talents are playing regularly in MLS Next Pro. That's the level they're at. They're past the U18 level, really, and that's, I think, what attributed to us getting that win. Right, they're used to playing against grown men, not just the U18. So, and that a lot to do, Luis, has to do with Oscar integrating in the beginning of the season and doing all of that other stuff there. I wanted to share this pyramid with you guys. This actually came out for Orlando Pride. So when you watch the Pride Pod, we're going to talk more about this. But it has the Orlando City side of it, and it really made me smile, Luis, because when my parents were like drawing up the plan of what this club should be like 15 years ago, there was a pyramid of what the youth should look like going all the way up to the pro level, and that's really right here what you're seeing. So it's something that we haven't always had, like especially on the
Yeah.
men's and women's side, and to have now all of these soccer schools around the area that have been integrated into, like I know a lot of these were not Orlando City schools that were brought in, and lots of movement and changes. Shout out to Nick Santos, I know, who is now running all this, who I used to work with. He's a great guy who's in charge of all the academy and everything beneath. So they've got all that organized. OCB is looking better than ever. You've got the pro team. You've got the actual players like Alex Freeman now getting into the first team. And now they're adding everything on the women's side for Pride and having Pride Academy as well. So it's just everything that you really want, and something that when you start a club and you envision what should it look like,
Exactly.
this is what you draw, and we're finally there. And so I'm thinking, Luis, how many other organizations around the U.S. have a men's and women's pro club that play in MLS and NWSL and a full academy structure underneath those? I don't think there's many.
I can
I
tell
don't.
you,
I don't think there's many. So we're in an elite club, in my opinion, right
yeah,
now.
for sure. I think this is the blueprint. This should be, and again, people are gonna think I'm a little biased, but this should be the blueprint for the MLS for most of the clubs. Now, because that's what's gonna take the MLS to a different level once the salary floodgates open up and all that stuff that we're seeing now. In South America, you got teams playing first division soccer that don't even have a stadium, don't even have this type of level of infrastructure, and then they downplay the MLS, the NWSL. I'm talking about women and men. Downplay, American soccer, and to me, it's crazy. It's crazy, but it is completely true. There's teams in Eastern Europe that don't have this level of organization either. So I think this is a great step, and it's evolving, and we got the right people, I think, in the right positions. Like Javier Carrillo with Martin Perelman in the first team now, and then he was the coach of OCV 2 seasons ago. Oscar Pareja at the helm, keeping Musi, keeping Moreira. So it's all a big. It's all a big. It creates. It sets forth what's going to happen in the future, essentially. So I'm just very excited of what's to come. And obviously, yeah, I know that I know we lost that one, unfortunately.
Yeah, just quickly, I know we talked a lot about youth. We really wanted to, because GA and everything, and we feel like it's a good time this week to talk about that. Quickly on OCB, they did play since we last potted. They lost 3-2 to Inter Miami, their first loss of the season. It was a really good, tough fought game. I actually watched some of this one. And yeah, they played really well, honestly. It was unlucky. They kept kind of get back into it, but it was one of those games where it was very open and Miami just scored more goals than us. Then that's put them down here in fourth position with 3 wins, a draw, and 2 losses. So a very good, respectable start. They got even goals difference right now, 8 and 8, 11 points, definitely in the hunt, in the top of the table. So a good start for OCB. Shame against Inter Miami. This one was also played in Bradenton, so they were kind of out there for the GA Cup as well. So that's just a little bit on OCB that we're always going to do every week. All right, Luis, should we move on?
Yeah, for sure. I think we got the Rowdies, correct? I don't know if you want to talk
Oh
about that, or you want to touch
yeah.
on Montreal first.
I mean, you were there in the Rowdies days, Luis. I mean, you've
Yeah,
been to some I-4 derbies.
for sure.
I
I
feel
think
like this is one that the modern MLS fans might not get as excited for. I might be like, oh, I don't really care about Open Cup. Why should I care about Orlando City versus Rowdies? You should care, because this is the original enemy, right? This
yeah,
is
it's the original
this
enemy,
is the first
100%.
team that we ever had a true rivalry with in this in this, not only Central Florida, but in Florida. Not only that, we own the Rowdies. We have never lost to them. We always beat the Rowdies, and there is a lot of animosity between their supporter groups, our supporter groups. There's several incidents that have happened between the teams. I'm not going to get into any of that, but history is history, Luis, and
No, it
when
is true.
when teams beef, and we have more than 10 years history with the Rowdies. We don't get to play them as often. Last time we played them was in the Open Cup, when we won it, I believe. Wasn't it the same year we knocked them out first round? I believe we won it. I think that's right. So we haven't played them in a few years. It's always fun. This is going to be an away day. So I encourage everybody, if you've never been Orlando City Away Day and you're like, hey, I really want to do one, this is the easiest away day you could possibly have. It's on a Wednesday, which I know is a little harder for some people. But a lot of people will just drive out there the night off, go to the game, and then drive back or get a lift back or whatever. So I definitely feel like this is a great opportunity for some people that want to maybe experience Orlando City Away Day to go do that. And it's always going to be fun. If you've not heard the chant in the wall, the Rowdies are in our chant. I'm not going to say the whole thing because,
We
there's some
we
words in
don't
there.
want we
Yeah,
don't
but
want to.
yeah, exactly. But
I'm not gonna say
before
it.
before it was FCKATL, before it was like, oh, we all hate Inter Miami, it was F the Rowdies. So this is one that means a lot. I'm very excited. I feel nostalgic from my old years of going away days to watch Rowdies, watch us beat up on the Rowdies. So I really encourage everybody to either go out to this one or definitely watch this one and get pumped for the Open Cup. I know some people aren't as excited about Open Cup games,
No, it's
but
fantastic.
this is a rivalry that I think everybody should get excited about. So yeah, but this will be happening. I think it wasn't announced in this, but it is actually announced for the 7th, right? So it's Wednesday, May 7th. I believe at like 7:30 at the baseball stadium in St. Pete, Louise, in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, I will be there. And it'll be the first. Like, okay, I'm gonna sincere myself. I'm not gonna lie. I've been invited to. I've been invited many times to cover the Rowdies because they've seen what we've done with Orlando City and Orlando Pride. So and I've respectfully declined because I'm from Orlando, and but yeah, I'm gonna be going to this game. Now it's a huge rivalry. I do want to say I agree 110% with John. The I-4 Derby began when Orlando was in USL Pro and Tampa was in the NASL in 2013. It was huge, intense. It's been Orlando's dominance. It was in 2014. I think there was a 4-1 Open Cup win as well. Orlando then joined the MLS, and then essentially in 2022 they revived the rivalry. And Orlando has won essentially. They really. In the last 5 matches before the 2022 Open Cup, Orlando won 2 games, drew 2 games, lost 1. Tampa Bay Rowdies in the last 5 matches before 2022, Tampa won 2, drew 2, lost 1. So honestly, it's a really competitive derby. It is the original derby for Orlando City, and we always need to beat the Rowdies. I mean, I think a pathway for our only piece of silverware in that Orlando trophy case at Inter&Co Stadium. It's because we defeated the Rowdies with a goal from Alexandre Pato. So definitely it's a huge part of our history, and I highly recommend for people to make the trip if they want to obviously make the trip. But definitely, it's gonna be great going to hostile environment for sure. Hopefully, they don't poison my food.
I'll have to see what I think this is actually going to be on TV. I think they got a TV deal for some of this. I'm not sure. I have to look it up. It might be Paramount for this game. I know the earlier stages were on YouTube. Here in the picture, you can see the Al Lang Stadium. So it's actually right on the bay of St. Pete, if you don't know. And last time they put us in a cage, like no joke, like literally down here where these fences are, they like put us down there because they were like, y'all are savages. So yeah, it's fun. It's banter.
How many? I mean, this looks like,
It's in my opinion, it's the closest thing you're gonna get to like real European soccer culture if you go watch this game
yeah. I mean,
locally.
how many people? I mean, it looks like it's half made.
It's an adapted old baseball stadium, and they added stuff, and it's the Rowdies, bro. Let's not go into why the Rowdies are the
Yeah.
Rowdies.
So I think we need to put the nail in the coffin in this
Yeah,
game.
and they are having a stinker right now. Let's not. That's the other thing too. I
Now,
just want to bring up really quickly. Look where they are in their table here. It's not going well for the old Rowdies. They are down in 11th down here.
there you go.
11th right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
They've won one game. So the
Now,
Rowdies are down bad.
yeah, Orlando needs to treat this. Look, the best way of respecting your rival is by destroying them with your best team. And I think Orlando should not take, because this is the thing about derbies. Whether you play the smallest of the smallest team in the world and you are the on the highest of the high, in the east of the MLS, you still need to treat not only the other team with respect, even though they're rivals, but it's a derby. And derbies are going to be bad calls. So you got to kill that game fast so you can control and chill. And then maybe you can put, Thomas Williams as a center back, and you could put Caraballo if you want.
Yeah, I want to see some OCB guys out
Right,
there for
exactly.
sure.
Exactly. So, but you need to start with your A team.
Well, I
Like,
mean, it's a perfect game
Orlando has
for
a huge chance to
Gervais
win
and
this year's
Dagger
Open
again.
Cup.
Like go Gervais and Dagger, and like
Yeah,
maybe
Orlando has a huge, but John, Orlando has a huge opportunity to win another this
oh
edition of the U.S.
yeah,
Open
no,
Cup.
no, no. We got to have the stacked bench for sure. Like I'm
Yeah,
not gonna. There's no way we can lose to the Rowdies. That would be upsetting on
no, that would be
multiple fronts. Not only the Open Cup,
no,
but like
that would be
I will riot if that happens. So let's not do that. But I think it's just another good opportunity to play some of the youth, not all of them, but some of them for sure, and some of the rotation guys that aren't getting as many minutes right now. So I think that's everything on that, Luis. So we go to the main event.
yeah, Montreal. I do want to say, this is a match in which I am going to say it. It's disappointing. I'll be honest with you. I understand that we had a clean sheet, and we're going to read your comments in just a second. But people really criticize heavily Pedro Galese. Pedro Galese was pivotal to maintaining the shutout. At some point in the end of the game, Caden Clark literally cornered Orlando. Him and that other kid, Owusu, and literally, it was. I mean, they were really like playing defense. Everybody was on defense. So Orlando had the chances, had a lot of the attack and the physicality, but these are the type of games that we need to put away. And again, I don't want to be overly critical, but it has to be said. A better game for Ivan Angulo, but crappy end product on the attacking third. So he's doing everything right, especially creating key moments early in the game when he intercepted a pass that led to a non-call penalty. I'm sure you guys remember that. His pace literally he was a nightmare for the Montreal's defense, but he lacked the finishing touch. And that is what's really hindering him, and it's just making him look bad all around. And on the side of the defense, look, kudos to the defense, man. I mean, they played tremendous, but Rafa Santos, like, we're gonna be talking about Rafa Santos, but it's you just can't get ejected like that, man. He played like Orlando played with 10 men for the final 30 minutes, I think, of the match. It's just they've been playing shorthanded almost. It's second straight game playing with 10 men, and we can sit here and say, yeah, we play with a lot of balls and resilience, and but it's frustrating when you do that, and this is a team that we needed to kill. I mean, they're one of the worst teams in the MLS right now. I think Caden Clark was inspired. I felt he played with a Philly jersey instead of a Montreal jersey. And then I do want to say, uncalled for what was said to Pedro Galese. Uh, Racism has no place in the game. And whether it's parlez-vous français, voulez-vous coucher avec moi ce soir, I don't care, man. Like you don't do that. you know and I think we need to set an example. They should find the hell out of Montreal, or they should get me a new trash can. I'll take that as
Club La Trash, we're being trashy.
yeah. And at the end it seemed that they were pushing buttons just to see how many other players the ref was going to eject.
Yeah.
But aside of that, great defensive, hunker down. But again, we need to do better. I don't know. What are your thoughts there, John?
You want to read the comments, and then I'll go into
Sure.
my thoughts on this one.
First comment, Chris Keller says, "Good evening. I appreciate you putting these recaps and previews together. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate it. Where can I watch the OCB games? So OCB, you can watch it on MLS Season Pass and Apple TV. They have some of the games there, but also some games are broadcasted on MLSnextPro.com. MLSnextPro.com.
And some on
Uh,
YouTube as well.
yeah,
So
yeah. So
uh,
you gotta kind of keep an eye, but
yeah, it's always free. It's just in
yeah,
one of
it's
those
free.
three places. So you just gotta look on the OCB website, and it will say on the match where. But yeah,
Our good friend Giorgio here. Thank you so much, Giorgio, for your comments. Lata is disqualified and won't be part of the match against with Atlanta. Well, that's good news. Very good news. We go back home. We desperately need to win and stop playing without a man. Completely agree with you. 3 matches without Araujo and Atuesta, and 3-0 in a row. They will come back for Atlanta. FOTMOB says Atuesta has thigh injury and Araujo leg injury. The app hyperbolizes. They will come back half May. I mean, I'm not worried about that. I know a lot of people are saying that Atuesta is a player that definitely plays very forward in the attack, but I'm content with what I've seen with Jerbe and Dagger. If you ask me, very unexpected and annoying result versus Montreal. Second red card in a row. Third consecutive 0-0. Our best attack in the league is already finished. Our DPs are already sated. No, I don't believe so. I just think it's just
I think what goes up must come down. Right? The attack started so like high that we're just in a lull where they can't finish anything right now. But it doesn't mean it's not going to come back again. We've just been duffed for 3 games, and then the defense on the other side started terribly and now has
now
got
it's the
3 clean
best
sheets
one.
in a row. So it's like one went like this and one went like this, and now we'll even out. Like it's just a bit hit or miss at the moment.
But this is a game in which and again, I'm not gonna sit down here and bitch and moan about the penalty. Yes, that was a bad call. I agree with Oscar. Obviously they didn't even call. They didn't even with VAR. I don't understand how that was not a PK. It was definitely a missed opportunity for Orlando for sure, but a missed opportunity in general to favor Orlando to take the lead. Uh, Orlando should have been up 2-3-0 in the first half for sure. It's just lack of the finishing touch. but Ivan Angulo intercepted a pass, play it forward to Luis Muriel, and then definitely was taken out by Campbell in the penalty area. And then the referee, Basacos, I think that's his name, um, did not call a foul and no VAR review. Like no VAR, John. I don't know. I mean, it is. Are they allowed to do that kind of stuff, man? Like, I mean, no VAR. Like, it's appalling. Like how
Yeah.
now again, Orlando did have like a lot of chances to kill the game off, but I mean that really affected right there. Look at that.
So yeah, I kind of wrote about this and tweeted about this. The pictures I have are so dark because Apple TV, whenever you pause it, are just like,
Yeah.
no, you can't see anything. So this you can see here, but we all saw exactly what happened. The ball, go back and watch it. It's in the highlights.
Yeah.
Which is wild to me that they left it in because they don't usually do that when they made such a glaring error.
Because it's Montreal.
I thought it was Waterman, but I think you're right. I think it was Campbell.
Yeah, it was Campbell.
The big center back, right? The right side of the three. And yeah, I mean, the ball comes straight to Muriel. You can see here, this is like the ball already gone. And Waterman, this is like mid taking Muriel out. Sorry, Campbell. He's on the ground, both legs. He swings around with both of his legs right through the back of Muriel, who's mid swing to go hit the ball into the back of the net. So I don't understand how that's not a penalty. Yeah. They all shouted for the penalty. The thing that really drives me crazy, well, I'll talk about the other two decisions that drove me crazy in this game, but this one it's insane that they didn't VAR, right? If the ref misses it on the field, by the way, the expanded picture of this has the ref looking right at this, like with a clean view. So he saw it and didn't call it. Yeah. And then VAR didn't even get in his ear and go, hey, by the way, you should go back and look at that. And the reason they didn't do any of that is because he was so focused. What happened immediately after this was one of the other things that he got completely wrong was he gave Rafa Santos his first yellow card for this, which for me is crazy. What happens is it's a 50-50 ball. The Montreal player like gets the flick of the ball over Santos as he's coming in to clear it. And then Santos like hits his leg, obviously, because his leg is where the ball is. And then he goes rolling around on the floor and cries. And the ref gives Santos a yellow. It's not a yellow card. It's a foul, sure, because he kicked him. But he's clearly trying to play the ball. So I don't understand why that's a yellow card. I think that's really harsh yellow. And then the second yellow, I think, is even harsher on Rafa. There's nothing in this. It doesn't even look like he touches him. Honestly, the player comes across him looking for the foul, knowing that Rafa's behind him, rolls on the floor, same thing again. And the ref gives a yellow card. I just think it's not a yellow card, in my opinion, this one. It's not either. It's a foul if you want to call it a foul because they bump into each other, but there's really little to no contact from Rafa Santos. So the guy's falling on the ground again, claiming a yellow card. So it's just two really nothing challenges that I think they're just fouls. Honestly, I don't think either of these is worthy of a yellow card, which is supposed to be for when you're making a bad challenge that's really dangerous. I don't see that in these two challenges. So maybe, I'm complaining, but it just really seemed like an extreme situation where the ref said, I'm going to give you these two yellows. And to give you this as the second yellow is crazy to me. I think that's, really unwarranted. So unjust there. I think we had a red card that shouldn't have been a red card, and we had a penalty that was non-existent but should have been a penalty. So
right, the penalty, I'm with you 110%. When it comes to Rafa Santos, he's been having a terrible 2025, man. I mean,
Rafa's not doing well, but I just still didn't feel like this was
on the second
worthy of a red.
On the second challenge, you could definitely, if I'm the devil's advocate, argue that because it was from behind, all right, a yellow card. But the first one, I agree with you 110%. It's probably not, he did not deserve that yellow card.
But even the second one, the player
Yeah, he
intentionally
folded.
goes across him
Yeah, he
and then
sold it.
falls over to get it's you have to have enough intelligence to be able to understand when the player's just trying to buy a call. I
Now,
I thought that was harsh, and I think overall we didn't play well enough. I think that's obvious. So we're just not taking our chances right now,
yeah,
and
yeah,
we're creating chances. We're getting up the field, and then we're just not being clinical. We're not testing the goalkeeper well enough. We're not putting enough chances against him, especially against Montreal. Like
no,
we had 9 shots here to their 12. So being outshot by Montreal, that's not good. So
and
we
they
didn't
all
play
came
well, but I felt a little bit robbed in this game too.
right, and they all came with, I mean, you're talking about they all came almost from the right side of the field, so Rafa comes in and he didn't complete it a lot. He had a lot of turnovers. He lost his man several times on defense. Clearly, the yellow cards for sure, but also 30% passing accuracy. I mean, it was not good. And Montreal was just, it's like they found out and then they just aggressively started attacking the right side. And then Santos was just unable to defend very well. Yeah, I'll be honest with you. Now, good thing is Orlando brings in Thomas Williams and Zakaria Taifi, and both of them playing at a high level of OCB. And it kind of they went into a back line, and they literally held on. And kudos to Zakaria and to Thomas for sure, because I feel like without them coming into the game, it would have been. I mean, if Galese would have not had that save, dude, it would have been it, and that would have been as bad as playing with against the Rowdies. Honestly, I mean, you're talking about the one of the offenses with the worst. Like they don't score not even one goal. So it is pretty disappointing.
Yeah. I was really happy to see Thomas Williams get out there, and we didn't concede with him out there in 10 men, and same with Zachariah. I mean, Taifi, we talked to him about him a lot in OCB, and he's finally getting that step up as well. Really right backs, like if Dagger's playing midfield and Kyle Smith's playing left back, and Brekalo isn't playing right back, like there kind of is a bit of space behind Alex Freeman. So I feel like that's why you saw Taifi coming on there, as well as him just playing well for OCB. But yeah, I mean the attack very disappointing in the last 3 games. I just we can't have another game where we don't score. Then I'm really going to be concerned. Right now, I'm just kind of looking at it as like this was a freak thing. Like how many times does you watch your team not score in 3 games? But
Montreal gives us trouble though,
yeah, I think also
but there was no excuse.
I think bringing Atuesta back will help because
Yeah.
he definitely links more in the attack than we have right now. There's something to be said for that, but also we had chances. Muriel
Yeah.
isn't putting them away. Pasalic isn't putting them away right now. Angulo is just doing whatever. Ojeda doesn't seem to be in those finishing positions as much recently, so he hasn't really been having a lot of chances either. I think too often, like the shots are just at the goalkeeper is what
Yeah.
we see a lot. Like and Duncan too has come on, and
Yeah.
I mean, the guy has he scored a goal yet this year? I don't think so.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's like
So
Duncan,
he's on a drought. Enrique was injured. We don't have some other attacking assets. Like we need Muriel and Pasalic to be scoring goals. So I'm not saying they will. I think it's just like a dry spell. I think both of them will start hitting the back of the net, and hopefully against Atlanta. But the defense on the other side really cleaned it up. Brekalo's doing great. Kyle Smith is solid. I'm with you. Like, don't put Rafa in there at all. Just start with Kyle Smith, and why bother? Like, I'm
well,
sympathetic to Rafa here because I feel like he got screwed by some of these calls. I don't think he should have been sent off. I think he should have had maybe a yellow out of those 2 chances. I mean, those 2 tackles, but also it is because he's not playing well and he's getting in those positions that he has to make these kind of challenges, or shouldn't be making these kind of challenges.
Look, I know that people are, my job is not to overly criticize the athlete for sure. But at this point, I do feel that, and we'll do the lineup in just a moment. I feel that Breckel is going to be our left back. I mean, you're talking about on pay, even though Atlanta is doing really bad. They still a dangerous team. They have better players than Montreal. They have better players than a lot of teams in the East. And it's a derby in a way, and they know it. There's always been a big rivalry, so they're gonna go all out, and we gotta be ready. So I feel more confident having Brecalo and Schlegel right there. Because Schlegel's gonna be back.
Shout out to Gnocchi who lightened up these photos for us, so you can kind of see a bit better.
Tremendous.
This one
Thank you, Doc.
especially.
Appreciate it.
This one especially is never a yellow card.
Yeah.
That's so harsh.
So I have William Stubbs here. It says, seemed like a similar game to when we hosted them in preseason. Didn't challenge the keeper enough. That also ended in 0-0 while starters were in. Completely agree with you. I don't know why this is coming up like that.
It doesn't like us. Yeah, we got to do better against Montreal. I feel like 0-0 against Montreal 100% is a loss. That is a loss for sure. That's a place that we should have gone and got a result, like 3 points. So, when we look back at these games, like I feel like it was probably a point that was well earned against Philly, and then really 4 points dropped against Red Bulls and Montreal. We should have beaten Red Bulls at home and got a goal in that one. Partly Schlegel, but also not, because we had 60 minutes or like 50 minutes before that where we should have scored. So the same thing in this one. Rafa Santos wasn't sent off, until the like 60 something minute or something like that, 70th minute. So we still had a good hour where we just weren't able to put the ball in the back of the net. Yeah, and it's not really, you can't really blame it on one guy, because it's not like it's all falling to one guy and he's missing everything. It's everyone is just not being clinical right now. And at the beginning of the season, they all were, and that's why we're, had the best attack. So we just gotta, finish a few more of our chances and we'll be fine. Defensively, much improved as expected. That's long may it continue.
Yeah, it wasn't a good game also for in the offense for a lot of our big pieces. And in the past few games we've said, our DPs have clicked and synced, but Marco Paslic, for example, I have his stats right here. He touched the ball 40 times. He completed a team worst 58.3% of 24 passes. He contributed 1 defensive clearance. He led the squad with shot attempts with his magical left foot. But out of all those, only 1 on target. So so that was one like that. Then you have one of the best players offensively, believe it or not, is Ivan Angulo, and has the best stats, as well as Martin Ojeda. Martin Ojeda completed 96% of all his 42 passes throughout the 90 minutes of the game, and Ivan Angulo 85% of all his passes. So now one unsung hero that we do need to see and definitely clap, Joran Gervais. Again, I'll be honest with you, he's it, man. I mean, he's definitely stepping up big time. Him and Dagodan.
I think he was giving a bit of this in French to the other French guys. Did you see that?
Yeah, man.
I think him and Piet at one point were in these front of the faces.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that he likes a little dirt in his sandwich. He's a little grit.
He probably was like, comment ça va, man? Ça va. No, I was gonna say something in French that I know, a bad word. I think Joran watches the shows.
No, we're not starting French cuss words.
I don't want to do.
There's enough Spanish and English cuss words we got going on. We're good.
Let's read some comments here.
Yeah.
Stream Jesus. Hey, you go, Stream Jesus. VAR should be the policy. There you go. I agree with you, my friend. James Regis. Then go back to Muriel the next game. There you go. It says, I think Muriel is just older. Give Duncan a start to let him get his feel back, and then sub in Muriel for a shorter run. I think it may help him. Look, I would have loved for Oscar to put Muriel in the first half in this game and maybe have Muriel kill it in the second game. Again, that's just my opinion. I am no Oscar Pareja.
Yeah,
I'm not criticizing, but I would have done that.
yeah,
I agree with James in here because the problem is, and we've seen it against the Red Bulls, he had one against Coronel, and he it doesn't have the craftiness and the mobility and the 1v1 as Muriel does
yeah,
to even look for the contact. He's just too static,
yeah.
too rigid.
I mean, there's an opportunity here. I think Muriel's going to keep starting. I think Duncan off the bench, though, if he starts scoring and Muriel's still dry, then
Yeah.
like it will happen. Oscar will go, okay, I'm going to put. I don't think Muriel is that locked in.
No,
Like
I
he
would try
started really
also.
well, but he has to keep scoring.
I would try also John Ramiro Enrique on the left wing.
Yeah, I mean he was questionable last game. Hopefully it was a
Yeah.
minor thing because we don't need more injured players. But yeah, we'll see if he's available for Atlanta.
Jeffrey O. Orlando City needs two things: rain and goals. Thank you, Jeffrey. Sticky question: Do you guys truly see? An improved performance from Luis Muriel? Be honest.
I think improved from
I do.
last year,
I do.
definitely. Yeah, improved from last year.
Yeah.
I see that like he's running more and he has more work ethic for sure. I do think it'll like stops about the 60th minute. You know what I mean? I think late in the game, if he's still on the field, he just doesn't have the gas in the tank. So I think if you're gonna start him, like an hour is good, even if he scores. Just he's not that young anymore. So, but I think intelligence wise, he's one of the most intelligent attackers we have, especially in the 9 position. He does stuff that Enrique and Duncan just can't really do the way that he connects with the attacking midfielders. So I think that's the big plus of Muriel.
Now, what are your thoughts on Pedro, man?
Pedro had a great game. I just wanted to show you these pictures of Oscar real quick because I love this in the post game presser where he was like, I don't want to say anything, but it was even worse. The referee frustrated us today, but nothing we can do. I mean,
Exactly.
I felt for the guy. He looked pretty frustrated. So yeah. What were you saying? Sorry, what was your question?
No, I said, what are your thoughts
Pedro.
on
Pedro
Pedro?
Pedro's back, man. I mean, this, like we said, it's the Pedro that we expected, right? He didn't start out the beginning of this season well, but 3, clean sheets in a row. He's come clutch with some saves in
Team of the
each
week
game
on the
to
bench.
keep us in. He's on the bench team of the week. I think people who said Pedro's washed, it's like I always say, man. It's like in this league, your goalkeepers aren't going to be, perfect all the time.
Yeah.
If they were, they'd be in one of the top 5 leagues, right? Like Pedro's going to have games where he does some stuff that you're not going to like, but most of the time he's pretty solid and he's one of the
Yeah,
better keepers in this league and he can pull up some great, like, I think 1v1 he's, top 3 in this league for sure, in my opinion. Like the way he gets, makes those last second saves, the way that his reflexes are. There's other moments and other parts of his game not so good, but I think for what he can give us when he's on form, we just hope that Pedro is now here for the rest of the year.
for
In
sure.
which
He's
in which
improving
case,
tremendously.
yeah, I mean the clean sheets are coming in part because Pedro and I think Brecalo as well. I
Breckles, yeah.
think I think less Rafa Santos, Brecalo. It's just less mistakes. Honestly, it's just less
No, I
mistakes.
agree with
Like
you. I don't want to sound
no,
mean, but it's
it's true.
true.
Like
It's
so
true.
many of the mistakes we had earlier in the year were just mistakes because someone in the back line messed up or Pedro messed up or it's just like individual errors. So you're taking out the people that cause all those individual errors, overall reduces the errors, right? Schlegel's still gonna have some. Jansen will have that. Everybody will have some. Even Alex Freeman's looking great, but he's gonna have some moments where he makes some errors. Like it's gonna happen, but with less of the error-prone guys in the squad, mainly Rafa Santos. I hate to kill him, but it's true.
Not
You're not gonna see as many.
Donny Moore. We needed Eduardo Atuesta back ASAP. I agree. I think he's a tremendous player, but like you said, it's just this league. he always does this. He always gets a little knock here and there. He's done it
Yeah.
in every team that he's played with.
Yeah.
But we have two solid players right now. I think Gervais is in a tremendous form. I would love to see him with Cesar.
I
If,
think Sorry. I think the thing is last year we were just used to the double pivot, right? This year you've got
yeah,
that attacking
that
connection with
attacking, yeah,
Atuesta doing that.
more
But
vertical. Like it allows you to play more vertical.
yes, and when you put Gervais and Dagger back in, it's kind of a bit like last year where it's just really a double pivot and they're not as, up the field and they're not able to connect as high up the field and be that box to box as much as at the Westwood. It's not bad, but it doesn't allow us to play the same way. But like I said before, we still had the chances. I don't think it's no Atuesta, no goals. It looks like that right now, but I think it's more to do with Pasalic and Muriel going cold than anything.
No, no. Before we go into Atlanta, I do want to give some kudos as well. Look, my friend, what happened? You got that haircut, man.
He made the plane, bro. He
Bro,
made
you
the
make the
plane.
plane. You took that selfie, bro. You even put Happy Easter on your social media, man. You got that fade going on, that number one. I used to get that too, my friend. Number one on the side. And 0 minutes. I feel bad for him because I guarantee you he would have had minutes if it would have not gotten the red card. I think I
Yeah.
think gotten the red card hindered him having minutes.
I
But
mean, no Enrique in this one either, right?
yeah,
So, you really were limited for attacking options.
on the last two games because we were down 10 men. So I mean, he kind of forced Oscar, but we're gonna see him. I don't know if Atlanta is gonna be that game.
I feel like you're doing his barber dirty by saying he goes to Great Clips, bro. Isn't this like some guy who comes to his house who's doing a really good job here, like trying to promote his business? This is not Great Clips. This is some nice cut. Let's at least give the man his due. He's got a nice fade.
Well, he's gonna get another one for the Atlanta
And
game.
I believe that haircut's going to be the one for the
And
Atlanta
four
game.
times a charm.
Nothing says Nico Rodriguez like Atlanta at home. Come on, let's go. You got some South America.
You
Here's
imagine
our South American newest talent.
you imagine it would be hilarious if he scores against Atlanta and he does the barber like you have like
Please,
Duncan like go with like this like
please do that.
that'd
Please
be
do that.
you should do it, my
That'll
friend.
be my favorite thing. Honestly, I just want to see him get on the field. But if not, man, Gustavo Caraballo, call him up. He should be there this weekend as an off the bench option. Colin Gusky. Let's see some of these. G18. GA U18 winners. Let's put them on the bench and get them out there too. Why not?
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're gonna go to the next topic, and that's going to be Atlanta. We're coming to Atlanta. Ronnie Delia side, an Atlanta that spent over $40 million in signings. In the beginning of the season, people said, this is a team that we have to emulate. I hate talking about Atlanta so much, but we need to imitate Atlanta. And it really hasn't panned out the way they wanted to. I mean, this, now that doesn't mean that they're not dangerous. And I still treat this as a derby. Now, this man right here that I'm putting on the screen, he's not going to show up. He's not going to play against Orlando. So, again, you've seen him more than I do, John. The power and the firepower of Latte Lath.
Latte Lath.
Yeah. Now he's probably not going to be playing against Orlando. What are your expectations coming up against Atlanta? I mean, I feel it's a must win because it's just at home and because the history between the animosity between both clubs.
Yeah, well, not only that, I think it's a must win because of their form as well. Like they the preseason, of course, they're going out spending all this money. Luis, you're always talking about the 60 million or whatever they're spending. It was something like 22 million on Latte La. Another I think it was like 7 million or something
Yeah,
on
overall they spent like
Almiron
almost
getting
40
back.
million
Yeah,
last
and
year.
they spent money on Moranchuk, and they've got Laba. Sorry,
Almiron.
they've got Loba Janipse. I can never say these guys' names. But they just really haven't been as good as people thought they were going to be. I mean, we always suspected it would take a minute to like get this team together. I think they've got a lot of the pieces. They're just not performing right, very well. And like some of these results, I mean, the loss to New England, like that is bad. They lost 3-0 to Philly last game. Like Philly are definitely better this year, but we managed a 0-0 tie with them, so it gives you a little bit of perspective. They haven't really. They managed to beat New York. That's it, really. And New York are not great this year either. I just think they've struggled. I don't think this, great resurgence of Atlanta that was talked about in preseason is happening. As you can see, on the table here, they're way down in the East. I don't know why this is not showing me the East, but they're not doing well at all. They are struggling. They are down here in 12th. There we go. So, they've got in 9 games, 2 wins only, 3 losses, and 4 draws. They've scored 11 and conceded 16 goals. Now, we had a pretty bad start defensively, and we've only conceded 12 goals. So it gives you a little bit of, idea about how leaky the defense has been. The defense was always like suspect. It has been since last year. The attack should be significantly better with all this money they've spent, but like I said before, it's just they're really not using the pieces right, or it's just not clicking. They don't know who to play where. They've got guys that aren't tens in the 10 position. For me, this Atlanta team coming to our house, obviously we always want to beat them, but there's a real opening here. If this was a team that wasn't Atlanta and they're at this point in the table, you say we have to beat them regardless anyway. So, down in 12th, who they are in our house, it's got to be done. And also, we haven't scored in 3 games, so we have to score some goals.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is a rivalry. Atlanta's going to aim to leverage, their attacking reinforcements with Almiron, and try to exploit Orlando's minor lags on defense. Now, I do want to say that right now Atlanta's away form has been pretty inconsistent, but last October they beat us at Inter&Co. So it's this is a game that John was saying, it's a must win for Orlando. Right now, they are also they're coming back up. I think some of the players are clicking better, and they're right now leading the all-time MLS regular season series against Orlando. So 11-4-7. So I think last year was the first time they swept us since Pareja joined Orlando. So we need to beat them. I mean, this is a turning point for the offense. Hopefully, again, we want to see in Ramiro Enrique. Hopefully, we need to see David Brecalo excelling again, and Ojeda having more of a presence. Now I feel like Orlando is going to come out with the same old formation, and I do feel like Orlando's going to emphasize the wing play, and I feel when it comes to Atlanta United, they are also a very counter-attacking team. Now they got an added piece, which is Miguel Almiron, back. But one thing is, and I do want to say this, is their possession. They are really bad holding off the ball. So if Orlando right there, you have your Cesar or your Dagger and your Joran Gervais right there.
doing that job as they were doing against the Red Bulls, for example. They were absorbing and that control of the midfield, knowing that the Red Bulls is a team that loves to press, that's really going to throw off Atlanta. And not only throw them off, but then we get the ball back, and then that's the thing that's going to make the turn events even greater, is if those chances that we create of the counter, we capitalize on. And I think that's what's going to make the difference. So let's read some comments real quick here. Guille Carlos says 5-0 Orlando. William stops. Someone pick a draw so it won't happen. Would be interesting to see Gervais and Araujo double pivot, a twisted 10 or head a left wing. Oof. I don't know if I will do a twisted 10, but he could probably play it. It's not great clips, it's buenos clips, says Guille Carlos. So there you go. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Now, who you get in this game, John? I mean, look, this is the last time. This is how we're coming into the game.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to show this was Atlanta's lineup last time. I don't know if they did play a 4-4-2. I'm not sure if this is right, but Lati Lath was in there, but I think he's suspended now. I guess that's why he's not playing. So yeah, I mean, Moranchuk, Almiron. We gotta watch all these guys. The defense, they got Brooks Lennon back. He is good. Pedro Amador is supposed to be a very good left back. I've seen some good moments from him. So we gotta watch out for those like bombing on fullbacks like we like to do. It's gonna be a lot of fullbacks getting high up the field, I think, for both sides in this one. But we gotta win, man. I mean, there's no other expectation outside of that. I talked about how we line up against them. We're doing better in the attacking stats. They possess the ball a little bit more than us, but defensively we're stronger overall in all the pretty much areas, apart from interceptions. So it definitely is a game we can win and a game we should win. I think the guys are going to be very keen to score a goal, like more than anything. I think they're just, after 3 games of no goals, I think they're going to be kicking themselves and they're going to be working on finishing, I hope, all week. I just want to be finishing drills. I'm going to be watching in the warm-ups, Luis, to see are they hitting the back of the net in warm-ups, because we need to be doing everything possible to just finish our play and then keep doing the same things at the back that we were doing so well the last 3 games. We want to talk about lineup? You want to do that?
Yeah, for sure. We're going to do the lineup, but I do want to say also, I want to add,
yeah.
Look, if Oscar's going to bet again for Ivan Angulo, he needs to have a similar game against Montreal. I guess he was very influential in attack, even though people probably might not agree with me. Obviously, but
he better in Montreal. Definitely,
he looked better.
The first half, he looked better. The second half,
he needs to finish, man. I mean, you gotta finish or link up. You can't just run through the wing and you gotta capitalize on the chances, because that's really what's separating. There was one ball that he crossed so bad, he just literally gave up a clearance. Essentially, he just pretty much told Montreal, "Hey, clear the ball for me."
Yeah.
And Muriel looked at him like, "Dude, like, come on, man! Like, I'm here waiting for your pass." So there were some counter attack chances that could have been created for him, and if he would have thrown a good ball forward, So those are the things, I don't know if it's just insecurities or just mental. Sometimes players go through that situation, but hopefully the Easter Bunny brought some huevos for some huevos de Pascua for his finishing.
With Angulo, like you said, it's the look. I mean, in this game, possession loss 15. Yeah. Like
that's crazy.
That's the thing. It's like, he's just hitting these long balls, or he makes dribbles that he loses the ball, or he just can't complete a simple pass. Like it's the basics of his game, as well as the defensive basics. It's all seeming to be struggling. Like, he did make some better runs in this game for sure. Yeah, I'll agree with that.
No, mind you, it's Montreal as well.
He is by far on notice. And I think if Enrique hadn't been injured, we might have seen that happen. So like we have not got a lot of competition right now in the wings based on who's available and or actually, Oscar's going to call upon. So I think Angulo needs to improve every game for sure.
110% agree. Now, we're in 20 minutes in. We're going to be doing the lineup and our predictions. Thank you so much for your support. We're Louder and Proud Orlando. We're live right now. We're about 100 people live. If you're on X, do us a favor, drop us your comment and also retweet the video on your profile. And also, if you're on YouTube as well, drop us a comment and subscribe and pass the word around. Thank you so much for your support. We're going to go with a lineup for the game against Atlanta. Obviously, Pedro Galese. I guess that's going to be it, right?
Yep.
I'm going for Freeman. Do you agree?
Yep.
yeah.
Nah, Freeman, Brecalo, Jensen.
Yeah. Well,
Smith.
Now there's the thing. Schlegel
Schlegel will be back, but I wouldn't put Schlegel in.
Why?
I would stick with Brecalo and put Smith at left back. Jensen.
Man, I'm on the other way.
I'm fine with putting Brecalo at left back and Schlegel back in, but
no, that's fine. We'll go with your choice.
I just think I really want the partnership of Brecalo and Jensen at left back. I mean, the center back.
Okay.
So if this is that opportunity to stick with that,
that's right.
I don't think there's much difference from what Kyle Smith gives you as a left back and what Brecalo gives you as a left back. So why not? I don't want to start Rafa Santos either way. But
I think Brecalo adds himself in the attack a little better than Kyle,
Yeah.
But then again, I think we're gonna facing even though it's Atlanta and they're coming up and Orlando has a pretty goal difference compared to other teams. They're still a pretty dangerous team, and I don't feel confident. And I'll be honest with you. I mean, I'm usually very positive, but I don't feel confident with Rafa at the moment at the level that he's in right now, especially for this massive, important game in front of our fans. I think that's the key here, for them not to go and see us lose against a rival, so.
And I think we drop into the 5-back anyway, like whoever's playing that left back actually becomes one of the center backs.
Right.
And then Angulo drops and you've got, like a 5-back with Freeman that Oscar likes to do. So it's more about who's your best, defensive left back option.
Now, I don't know what's the status of Ramiro Enrique, but we're going to be seeing the two in the mid again, and we're going to see Ojeda, right? Is going to be our 10.
Yeah, I think Ojeda. You're going to probably have Angulo in there again, Pasalic, Muriel. The two D mids, I expect them both to be back. Based on the questionable that they were last week. And the fact that they traveled, and I think last week, like we said, like there's no point in putting them in against Montreal because although maybe they would have helped us win that game, we didn't need them, and I think they didn't want to rush them back. So I think they were always planning to be ready for Cesar and Atuesta for this one. I think at a minimum, I'd like to see Atuesta and like Gervais if Cesar's not ready. That would be fine. But depends. What do you think? I think Cesar and Atuesta. I think they're ready. I mean, you're not questionable last game and traveling if you're not ready to at least get on the field. In my opinion,
I want to see
questionable is what they say when they just don't want people to know they're ready yet.
Right. I want to see Araujo and Atuesta in this game.
Yeah. And also, Ramiro Enrique was questionable last game, so let's hope that that's, cleaning up. And Nico Rodriguez was also questionable. So really, right now, it's like Fabian Lola and, Wilder and Sakata, obviously, that we know about. So
Nico Rodriguez getting a haircut.
If all four of those, Cesar, Atuesta, Ramiro, and Nico, are all ready to go in this game, our bench suddenly looks, a lot better.
Now I'll feel more confident, here, for example. Now you said, it's gonna go to a 5-back. Look, obviously Rafa's not there. This is where I feel like in the second half we can have the first substitution be Schlegel, and we'll still go into a 5-back with Kyle as a more like a winger, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
You could put Muriel at the left wing and then
yeah,
put Duncan on. Like, you can do that.
And then here, I would love to see Ramiro Enrique, man.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the games that Ramiro has a.
I don't think he's going to be ready to start based on the fact that he was still questionable last week. But
so we're probably.
I think you're stuck with Angulo for right now.
I think we're gonna see Angulo again and just hope for a better game. But personally, if Orlando botches this game, and if
put Caraballo in, man, at some point. Like, if you need a winger, put Caraballo in.
I will put Caraballo right there in. Yeah. Now, if Nico Rodriguez is ready, I wouldn't have Nico Rodriguez start because he's probably gonna want to get a different haircut. But just no, but I'm just saying. Probably I would have. We're just a little depleted now. I think right now we need a left back and a left winger, man. For the
For Atlanta last week, the only guy they had out was Derek Williams, but I believe we're hearing that suspension for Latte Lath as well. So that would be great. Obviously, we won't know till later in the week. We'll put it out on Friday or Saturday when they announce. Usually late Friday night, they come out with the availability for the following week.
Yeah, and then I don't. It's just Latte Lath.
Yeah.
A lot of Atlanta fans are saying that he's been quite a disappointed. We'll see. I think he's still a tremendous player. It's just they pay a lot of money for them.
I confirmed he got a yellow card last game. Now he's suspended.
Yeah. So to us here at LPO, it's going to be Gillespie up top, Freeman, Brecalo, Jensen, Kyle Smith. Atuesta Araujo will be back, hopefully, with Ojeda, Ivan Angulo, Pasalic, and Muriel up top. That would be the actual lineup for the game. And then here we have our predictions. So I will start. You want to start? I'm going to go for... Shoot.
I put the W in already because I know you're gonna go for a W.
Look, I'm gonna go. You're gonna think I'm crazy, but I think this is the game in which we go all out, man. We're gonna go. No me gusta. P word. Atlanta. I'm gonna go 3-0 Orlando. Let's go, baby. 3-0 Orlando. Let's go. 3-0 Orlando. Come on, let's go. Let's do it.
All right.
Let's keep the faith.
Paula is not here this week, but I'll try and get her input. Mine,
We'll bounce back, baby.
I'm gonna go 2-1.
Orlando.
Yeah.
No. Okay, cool.
Should we have Paula predict a draw even though she's not here? Just so
just to make it fun.
Paula predicts 0-0, so it won't happen.
Yep.
And if she gets it right, then that's all on her.
So our predictions is John a 2-1 win Orlando, Paola a 0-0 draw.
She's gonna text her like, I did not predict a 0-0.
I predicted 3-0 win, open the floodgates, Orlando win. So
yeah.
Before we go, we need to touch on this. I know that we have a few minutes left, but we do need to touch on this. Oscar Pareja, Papi 2028, baby.
Oh my God, that was in our agenda today, and I missed it. So
Papi 2028, and more than likely Moreira and Musi also.
Well, not confirmed yet, but we suspect.
But More than likely.
Yes, this was in my agenda. I don't know how I didn't write it up. So thank you, Luis. I don't know why we're coming to this at the end of the show. Probably should have been a major talking point here, but of course, since
I mean,
since
we
we
got 10 minutes.
since we last potted, Oscar Pareja has been obviously renewed his contract once again. This time for another 3 years with the club. I personally believe in what he's doing. I know some people might call us a, Pappy In podcast, for example, or they might say that we're very pro Oscar Pereira. I think the reality is that we're just quite positive overall in the way that we outlook on things, and we tend to look at more holistic point of view of like what the club has improved overall, not just how many trophies have you brought me. I know some people are all about, has he won me silverware? Has he won an MLS Cup? In which case, this whole regime is a waste of time.
Yeah,
I understand that point of view, but it's just not how I look at things. I think overall, as we talked about with the academy and everything that's happened there, but not only that, he's just proven, Luis, that he is, and I can show you here on this tweet I did. I actually did this. I made this in April 3rd. This post about Oscar, because, and this was way, I think, like a few weeks before the announcement. So Oscar has led this club out of being a playoff maybe team into a consistent top 4 Eastern finish, which has happened last 4 years, 3 years. And his win percentage is 46%, which is pretty good overall. I mean, you're talking like there's wins, draws, and losses in that, so it's not just he hasn't won half his games. He's almost won half of his games and lost and drawn the rest. He is top 5 coaches in all time in MLS. So, and this was like his record shown here. In at the time, at 201 matches, 95 wins, 46 draws, 60 losses. So I really think that people underestimate that Oscar is one of the better, coaches in MLS at the moment. And as talked about here in the article, obviously I can't remember exactly what it is. He is currently has the second best record in MLS, I believe, of active coaches. I think only behind Bruce Arena, who's obviously been there a lot longer than he has. So, yes, he has not won us MLS Cup. I get that, but I feel like we're getting closer all the time. It might not happen as fast as people like, but I do think year on year we are progressing. And this year, I think the step that we've taken by using so much more of our academy and our rotation and young players, and the way that he's getting the most out of these guys, I think is something that we haven't really seen up until now. So I'm very positive about Oscar being here for another 3 more years. He might not be, like it might all go wrong. And this is locking down a guy for the future that we think is going to be successful. If it doesn't work, there's no reason why the club can't buy him out and go in a different direction. But if we didn't renew him, so many clubs would be after him, right? And it shows
100%.
it shows how early in the year that we did this. We started better this year than we have any of the other years, really. Like we all know, we did not start well. And so I really feel like this year they felt more comfortable to say, yeah, we're going to give you that renewed contract based on the good start and the fact that probably come the summer, a lot of these other clubs are going to be asking Oscar, hey, are you going to be staying around? Like what's happening? Because, we're LA Galaxy, for example, and we're in the gutters again, and we want to get a new coach, like, or whatever reason. So there are plenty of MLS clubs that would snap Oscar up. That's, for me, is a lot of the reason why they did this and did this so early. I think some people are, like I said, are depressed about it, and they're like, great, we have to watch 3 more years of Oscar Pappy ball. But I don't think until recently you could say that that's what it's been like this year, right? And I don't think that Oscar is telling them, don't do this and don't do that, and you'll have to play in my system and only do the things I tell you to do. I think we're seeing a more attacking system this year than we've ever seen from him before. I think he's adapting and changing. I think a lot of that has to do with all the assistant coaches that have been renewed as well. Like he's got a very different assistant coach makeup to a couple of years ago. And I think the influences of those guys from OCB, like Perlman and Baena and, all of them, I think they are helping him as well. And he's changing his tactics. And I think we're seeing an Oscar that's not afraid to experiment and change the way we play. And I think that's really my biggest problem with him was he wasn't doing that before. I see that more and more from the modern era of Oscar than when he first started.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think it's it's just like you said, it's a difference of opinion. Some people just, again, they don't see the bigger picture. They want to win fast. They follow clubs like, that are big clubs like Real Madrid or PSG or Barcelona, which is okay. It's just that, the MLS it's a different team. It's a different league. Markets are driven, and Orlando's a small market. It's been a small market for a long time. Orlando's been is a cosmopolitan city that has a lot of people from different parts of the United States living in Orlando. So there's really no clear identity for Orlando until Orlando City came through. The same thing you can translate with the Magic. You can translate with the Solo Bears. You got fans from New York, New Jersey Devils in hockey. You got fans from, all kinds of universities, the Jayhawks that are fans of Orlando City. So, but Orlando, it's building an identity of its own, and that takes time. Orlando City struggled in the early MLS years, after a successful USL era, very grassroots, bringing soccer into Central Florida. They missed the playoffs in all 5 seasons. Adrian Heath, Jason Kreis, James O'Connor. None of them could establish the consistency that Pareja installed in a very tough times, because he got hit by COVID times were hit under Pareja as well. So that was bad in itself. And right now Orlando is a team that competes for the cup. Right now, it's a competitive force. It's a growing competitive force. And again, he's well regarded, a top 3 coach in the MLS by far. And I agree with John when he says that if Orlando would have not made this move to sign him to 2028, a lot of other bigger markets would have poached him out. Like LA, for example, would have said, hey, come to LA. You know what I mean? Massive galaxy. And it would have happened the same thing that happens with Orlando teams. They get poached by LA, Shaq, talk about, and then they win championships there. And why do they win championships in LA and not in Orlando? So, but we're building something really special here. I'm happy with the decision, I will say, all jokes aside, obviously, but I think it's a very Orlando City pre-Pareja was an afterthought, and that is the real sense of the word. Yeah. And I feel Pareja's impact and the way they have elevated, and I know this is going to sound really, really hard, but no name players, essentially. I mean, you're talking about Pedro Galese from the Peruvian national team, one of the worst national teams in CONMEBOL, elevated him after being screwed in Mexico to be one of the top goalkeepers in the MLS, thanks to Profe Baena, thanks to Oscar Pareja and the opportunities he provided. Musi bringing them in, for cheap into the team. You elevated Angulo coming of a loan from Palmeiras, being tossed around everywhere. So here we have a way of working that it's different from a lot of MLS teams. And I know it takes a little bit of time, but you see it now with this beginning of the season, how everything has really meshed very well. Obviously nothing's perfect, but I do feel that we're on the right path, John. So yeah, I'm happy with the decision, and I think we'll see what it will take us. Like you said, it's a sport that is driven by results. If right now Orlando loses 10 games in a row, clearly we're not gonna be talking about Poppy 2028 for a long time, right? I mean,
and I want to say, I feel like he has taken us a long way. I don't think he's taken us as far as he can, I think we've never really had a squad that had 3 DPs like this year that could all be firing together. And I think it's always been some players missing, and we had never had like a really, really good team and had it all work out. So I'm thinking that this year it could all come together and we could go further than ever. That would be amazing. But also I want to say that, we try to be subjective about this. Like I've never met Oscar. I'm not like a pro Oscar guy. I just, this is my thoughts. So if anybody out there thinks that we are just here to promote Oscar, that's not true.
No.
We just believe in him. That's it, and I believe in what he's been doing and hope that he can be the guy to take us all the way. If not, I will happily, be ready for the next one.
But also, I mean, we analyze and criticize, and I know that we're not the type of pod that talks about themselves all the time either. We don't talk about ourselves all the time. But when we criticize something, we don't like to. And I know this is gonna be. We don't like to be dicks. That's just a simple colloquial word.
Try not to be.
We want to say what we want to say, but we don't want to be, we don't want to be schlongs. That's just the word. We don't want to sound like my 7-year-old daughter. You know what I mean? Like I'm nagging for that Barbie doll. Like we want to do it with a lot of class. And in a way, yeah, I mean, he's not perfect. By all means, yes. There's been times that John has grown some deep frustration. Same here.
Yeah, of course.
With some of his tactics, and sometimes waiting for some substitutions, and we are like, what's happening here, right? Yeah. But you have to. This game is about looking at the bigger picture, and if you truly care about Orlando City, you cannot deny what just happened to the GA Cup right there. Like. You just can't deny that this is a club that manages a little differently than any other club. Yeah. Are you talking about Atlanta being banked by Home Depot? So it's a lot of situations. But again, if Papi drops the ball, we're going to be talking about it too, John, and we're going to say it. So yeah. So
for sure.
I know that took a little long there, John. I'm sorry, but we had to talk about it real quick.
No, I appreciate you, Luis, because that should have been on the agenda. It was on the agenda, and I rushed and didn't put it on there. So
we're killing it. I mean, about over 110 people live. Thank you so much for your support. About 100 people on X, about 12 people, 13 people now on YouTube. Thank you for your support. Stick around because we're going to be talking about the Pride. And it's coming up next. So once this stream ends, you're going to see a link that's going to pop up on your screen or on your phone. Just click on it and we'll be there in the next 5 minutes. So,
we get a 5-minute break and then we go into Pride Land. So thank you to everybody who's here. You guys are awesome. Appreciate
Thank you guys. We'll see you guys next week. And Vamos Orlando.
Vamos Orlando.
Here are our socials. Have a good one, guys.